Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Many of us are concerned about the future sustainability of the human race. If the children are our future, what are the untold hours the younger generations spend on gaming and the impact on their consciousness and well-being? What if there were games that empower our young rather than distract them with violence? Mission Evolution Radio TV show is coming to you around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. With us this hour to explore systemic transformation, sustainable development, and revolutionary gaming is Dr. Anneloes Smitsman. Dr. Smitsman is an award-winning futurist, systems scientist, entrepreneur, and best-selling author. She's the founder and CEO of EARTHwise Center and EARTHwise Ventures. Dr. Smitsman holds a Ph.D. from the Maastricht Sustainability Institute at the School of Business and Economics, Maastricht University. Her website, EARTHwise.global. Anneloes, thank you so much for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Thank you so much for having me over again. It's wonderful to be back with you.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I certainly enjoy our conversations. So let's start out with, what is systemic transformation?
Big word. Yes. Well, many people know the word, of course, transformation. Then we think about a change process that is also irreversible in many ways. It brings new opportunities. When we put on systemic transformation, it means it's not just the transformation of self, but it's also the transformation of the deeper systems underlying reality, the deeper systems also that are sometimes governing our societies. So systemic transformation, you could think about, is kind of the deeper societal transformations, as well as the deeper transformations that bring profound changes.
Well, it seems like we need to have personal transformation and the systemic transformation to have lasting change. So, as an advocate and pioneer for systemic transformation, what are some of the key issues affecting our peaceful future?
Well, that we are driving our societies through systems that are unsustainable by design. So a lot of the systems of our economies, our political systems and societal systems, they are run by goals and reward systems and incentives that, rather than uniting people, are creating division and competition, and are also extractive, which means that they're using up a lot of resources from the planet and not giving back in such a way that the planet can regenerate as a result of those human activities.
How long have we been dealing with this sort of systems?
Well, the irony is we are actually those systems, right? I mean, the problem is our human conception of life. So you can see that humans have been driving this kind of systemic societal development, not just for hundreds of years, but I would argue even for thousands of years. And it's just that with the technological development over the last few hundred years, this is becoming really pronounced. So now we are seeing the effects. But this way of thinking, of trying to take something else in order to make something happen, not give back to the value that you're extracting, and that mentality is not new to humanity. And we've been doing this for a very long time.
I would argue that a lot of the native cultures throughout the world are very sustainable, or were very sustainable. They believed in balancing unconditional love of self with unconditional love of other. They revered the earth. When did we lose all that?
Yeah, exactly. And you can see in many indigenous cultures, and there's a very different understanding also of relationship and our relationship as humans within the kind of larger web of life. So you can see that these practices that I'm mentioning here, we call them also mechanistic growth models, that became very pronounced during the Industrial Revolution in particular. And this is where you can see that rather than having the smaller scale development of indigenous communities, humanity was really going for colonization, large extraction, massive expansion, and therefore, it's a very different driver behind all of that than indigenous communities traditionally.
So, how much do you think our exploding population or exploded population has to do with this coming into being very problematic?
You mean whether they're becoming aware of that, or?
No, just it becoming more and more problematic because there's more and more of us perpetrating it.
Oh, that yes. Well, since that's what I said, it's absolutely unsustainable, these models. So we've already hit the limits of growth quite a while ago. And if you're looking at the climate crisis as a result of that, if we're looking at the planetary boundaries framework, which is a framework, a scientific framework in order to determine what are safe boundaries for human activities over long periods of time. And then you see there are 9 critical planetary boundaries that need to be honored in order for humans to be able to live well on our planet and also the children after us. And then 6 of those critical boundaries have been crossed as a result of human activity. And that is really putting to light, how deep the sustainability crisis is that is at the moment unfolding, of which the climate crisis is one aspect. But the climate crisis is not the only one. There's a biodiversity crisis. We see a major crisis also in the state of health of our oceans. So, yeah, we humans need to wake up and learn to live in a different way with each other and with our planet.
The the problem is so deeply ingrained. I mean, right down to the cellular level at this point, isn't it? Within the populace.
Yes, and of course the problem is that we fall asleep in a model that makes us in many ways also lazier, and we all love, of course, a good life, and we love technology as well, but we need to be able to use technology to help us solve the complex challenges of today, and not use technology only to get better at extracting more from our planet and not addressing the crisis. Some of indeed of also the pollution, like plastic pollution, that's coming down to the cellular level. I mean, we're finding remnants of that at the cellular level that it should not be there. So we are affecting life on planet Earth in rather dramatic ways. But I do believe that human potential and human creativity and intelligence is capable of living in a very different way and growing our societies in a way that can be sustainable, if we apply also the wisdom, for example, of living systems and the way that nature evolves and also grows in all of its complexity and its beauty and biodiversity.
So, are you advocating instead of going back to the old ways, and there's way too many of us to do that at this point, that we use this very technology we've developed to develop new ways?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm advocating. I think it's really important to be very innovative, and I don't think the solution is about going back. Of course, it would be wise to do better with less. We are over consuming and overproducing as well. There's a lot of waste. But I really believe that we can use technology differently, and especially if we're looking as nature itself as a technology as well, and better understand also the kind of biotechnology aspects of nature. How does it renew? How does it regenerate? And that we can apply it very differently. We don't have to apply it through very extractive mechanisms, but that also requires a different understanding about the universe in which we live. So a lot of these very extractive mechanistic technologies came from that industrial age, based on a very classical kind of Newtonian conception of the universe, the belief that we live in a universe of immutable laws with separate parts and particles. And what we can see, especially in the latest in quantum sciences, is that we actually don't live in that kind of universe. The universe itself is a living system and is unified informationally at deeper orders of reality. We start to reconceptualize technology also from that quantum perspective. We may actually then see significant breakthroughs that can help us solve these very complex challenges.
I remember one time someone told me about the stray dog syndrome, and that's when a stray dog ran across the interstate in California. It ran across and it didn't get hit, but the ramifications were felt in traffic jams way back yonder.
Yes.
Isn't that the way we are? We've ignored the fact that we are all connected, and we can't make a single action, even have a single thought, without it impacting the whole.
Yes, I very much agree with what you're saying here. And people have also, in the way that we've been living, we've removed ourselves so far from also the effects that we are creating. I mean, look alone, if we're going to the supermarket, very easy to get food on the table, right? But we're not seeing what was necessary to bring that food to the supermarket and then to your table. So a lot of people do not understand anymore what are the impacts that we are causing, and they may believe, well, what does little me and my life really mean in the bigger scheme of things? But when it accumulates over time and through all those billions of people that we are now on the planet, then of course these impacts, they compound, and then you get these cumulative effects.
So, in other words, we have to treat it at the stray dog point rather than
Yes.
down the road. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And perhaps rather than, the question there is, where do we have a stray dog? So take care of your dog so that it doesn't become a stray dog.
Exactly. Take care of yourself so you don't become stray.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Well, it is time. We're just about out of time in this segment. Anneloes and I will return very shortly. You don't want to go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. We're coming to you on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. What is our future human potential? Or do we have
Mm.
one? With us this hour discussing our potential and what is blocking it is Dr. Anneloes Smitsman. Her website, earthwise.global. So, Anneloes, that's the question is you speak of future potentials and the new cosmology that's emerging about a unified universe. Let's go into that a little bit.
Yes, exactly. Well, yes, the first question, do we have huge potential? Yes, we do. All about. So what that statement really is about is to saying that the future already in a seed form, yeah, is within us, and that's really important to realize, because for a lot of people, they when they hear the word future, they think about the arrow of time. So they think future is tomorrow. It's that which has not yet happened. But if you realize that the universe is an ever evolving system, and therefore the future in its potentiality already exists within us now, um, then it's a very different way of standing in the world and also relating with ourselves and relating with time, because then also that future of life is already within us here now, and we can connect with that, and you may actually experience that in the way that you feel your motivation or your inspiration or your deeper drive or the questions that you're asking. So if you realize that the deeper searching, this quest of your life, this motivation to keep going on, is like this amazing little future that's knocking on your door, and it's already there within you, seeking to emerge. Um, this can actually give a lot of direction and also strength, especially in times that are challenging.
So that's interesting. I'm trying to follow how the future is already within us, but I think I'm hearing you say that it lies in the things that drive us. It lies in the things that intrigue us. It lies in our imagination. And if we engage that, then we create it. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, because it is an attractor. So it's an attractor that calls us forward to continue learning, to grow, to develop. Yeah? You can also say, therefore, future is not a state, it's not an outcome, but future is a developmental process that is seeking us to engage with life as this incredible potentiality for us to become more conscious, to become, better humans as well. So yes, very much so. It's not something static. It's a living process that engages us, but that we can engage. And the more you live with that in this relational way, the more opens up, the more creativity starts to flow, the more ideas start to come, more synchronicities open up, amazing conversations open up. Us sitting here together now. Yes.
Well, what about people that are deeply immersed in the get more syndrome? Okay, and their imagination runs to how can I beat the other guy out? How can I create a bigger company? How can I make more money? Because there's a lot of people immersed in that still. Does that operate in the same way? And if so, how do we derail that so that we can find something more sustainable?
So it may well be that they believe that the happiness and the joy in the developmental process they're experiencing is because they want to have more. So they are projecting that state and that flow to, if I have the next house, if I have the next car, if I have the next career. Yeah. But once they start to recognize that excitement and the joy of the expansion doesn't need to be materialistically, it can also be in other ways. And that might be actually the beginning of recognizing that, hold on, what I'm actually enjoying is this challenge. I love to develop myself, to explore myself further, to seek new horizons, but maybe I don't need to do it in a way that's always materialistically driven about wanting to do more and more. So then, of course, the deeper driver, but now, is it now lack, or is it now the ambition of I want to compete? Is that what's driving? Or is it really this future potential as an attractor that is calling you forth to dream more, to explore more, to dive more deeply into your potential? So I believe that when it's coming from lack, and when it's coming just only from this drive to compete, or from fear, or the fear of otherwise I won't fit in, that may not necessarily be your future potential that is calling you forth. And that these are the different drivers. But if you're
So
feeling, yes, go
so
ahead.
you're coming from fear in a very static place of hanging on to
Yes,
what you have and make more versus the freedom
that's
of engaging in possibility.
That's it, exactly. But so when your future is calling you forth, it's your future potential that's activating. Then what you find, you suddenly have the courage also, plus the motivation to start to transform, to let go of some old beliefs, to explore new horizons, to look at other ways of how can I live, how can I be myself, how can I develop myself further, which is a very different motivation.
So we have to, I would assume, listen within to find that in the first place. And yet most of us are totally distracted by media. Okay.
True, very true.
How damaging is that?
Well, it becomes damaging, of course, if you don't listen to that deeper voice within yourself, and you're always being distracted. So you become more contracted, you become more fearful, you feel not in touch with yourself. Then yes, that becomes very damaging over time. And this is why you find often people, they sink into depression, or they feel cut off from life. They feel a sense of loss of meaning, a loss of self. But the signals are there. Every step of the way, every day, every second is an opportunity to connect back in. Yeah, so, yes,
So if we have a lot of media, a lot of advertising, games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are those impacting us and our perspectives more than we recognize?
I think so. Yes, and you see this also in a lot of younger generations that are they're soaking it up. Many of them don't have a filter or a sense of self, and that becomes the new reality, and it also becomes the new benchmark. So they believe, in order to fit in, I need to be in that virtual world. I need to be like that actor or actress, and yeah, and that can be very damaging also for their sense of identity, and their sense of the world, whether the world feels for them like a safe place, a place where they can blossom and share their talents, or whether they feel constantly that it's always out of reach. So they will never be able to get successful in the way society is projecting that through a lot of this media.
So, how can the new cosmology of a unified universe impact all of this?
Yes. Well, that starts with the journey within that. First of all, of course, to recognize we're part of this vast and amazing universe that is seeking us to evolve. It's not a punishing universe. Not a universe of separation, but it is a universe of profound interconnection, interdependence. So if you start with that as your base point, and already you have a different relationship with yourself, with totality, with life around you, with understanding that you have access to consciousness that has been evolving for billions of years, that can lend you its creativity and its innovation, and that human potential is not separate from the intelligence and the potential of the universe. So if you're starting to extend your own potential and your field of possibility with the greater fields of possibility of life in the universe, suddenly your possibilities expand phenomenally, but also your sense of relationship and feeling safe and at home, and a feeling a sense of belonging and connection.
There was a quote from the original movie, The Ten Commandments. And that's Moses said, you cannot break the law. You can only break yourself against the law. Is that what
Mhm.
we're doing? Is breaking ourselves against the laws of nature at this point?
Yes, but I would though like to add that maybe those laws, they are not as immutable. A lot of the laws in nature are relational laws. And so what is happening is what we're breaking ourselves against is going contrary to that deeper interdependence, by making ourselves separate, but then creating consequences that affect us all, right? So we are already there in this tension.
Right. Not moving with the way life works, but trying to move against it. We know
Yes,
who's going to lose on that little equation,
that
right?
exactly. Back to that stray dog, right?
Exactly. So, what does it mean to you to walk the path of our future human potential? We
To
talked about it a
me,
little bit, but let's go into that a little more.
yeah. To me, that really means having the courage, truly, to live more fully, to start to explore and to discover who you really are, and to also have a very active intention to, contribute to this world that we are part of. To see that this world requires us to develop our future human potential so that it can evolve. And it means living into the deeper questions together. It also means trusting in yourself and in the deeper purpose of your life, and looking ways for which you can add a little bit of joy and laughter and, yeah, and value to life and to other people and to the world. And yeah, that's really what it means for me.
It seems like life itself is evolving and putting a lot of pressure on those systems and those people that are not. Is this your perception as well?
Yes. I mean, we're hitting both the barriers and the boundaries. So, indeed, I mean, because a lot of those systems that are unsustainable by design and ways of living that we are now being confronted with, you can only stretch that out so far. So, we are putting our own societies and systems at breaking point, because of the way that we design it. But we can design different systems. Yeah.
But aren't people becoming at the breaking point if they're unwilling to move with the times?
Some are, and some are very smart, not in a good way, but in sheltering themselves from those effects. Yeah, I get very concerned when sometimes I hear the very rich speak about, oh well, we have our bunker, and we will live it out, and we will survive this time. They don't care about all the people who are going to be impacted. They're already looking ahead. They're saying, okay, society is going to collapse. A lot of the climate systems are going to collapse. It's inevitable. And we are already building for what comes after that, but we want to just keep ourselves safe.
So there's no energy being put into turning it around, but rather hiding from it.
Yes, exactly. Hiding and making it worse.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I
yes,
hear you. Well,
yes.
it's that time. Annalise and I will be right back to continue our discussion. Please stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. What impact does gaming have on our young people? This is
Mm.
Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. With us discussing the impact gaming may have on our future is Dr. Anneloes Smitsman. Her website, earthwise.global. So, Annalise, there's the $24,000 question. What impact is? I mean, kids are really into the gaming. It's a huge thing. I was not around when I was a kid, so I'm kind of sitting back watching it, going, "Oh my goodness!" You'll be sitting in a living room visiting with somebody, and all of a sudden, this yelling comes out of the bedroom. Sounds like Armageddon, and you go in there, and a child is upset because he's losing a game. Okay, um, what's going on?
Actually, that sometimes describes my house. Because yeah, I have two teenagers, and the boys, they're 14 and 16 years old, and they go, Doc, come on from the left, why don't you? But what's going on? I'm on a pirate ship, Mom, not now. Yeah, so
And it's so
yeah,
real to them too. I
yeah,
mean,
oh,
that's a little concerning.
absolutely. And then if I tell them afterwards, I ask them, you were a bit rough with your friends. He said, no, that's fine. We talk like that. So yes, it is. It's a very interesting new reality. To put it in perspective, 3.6 billion people around the world apparently are playing video games, and 60% of those are, youth. So and young adults. So that's a huge percentage.
What's the percentage, what are those games made out of? What are the percentages that are,
That's it.
let's get in there and be a superhero and kill everybody?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that is the problem. Exactly, because the majority of those games are battle games, and many of them, of course, are very popular. The shooter games, and games that are very, very quick, very flashy, very, very addictive. That's why these gaming companies make massive amounts of money, because they know precisely how to get them hooked, how to keep them coming back, and get them also addicted. So I think it's especially the addictive pattern that is can be very damaging, but also the very quick reflexes all the time, the normalization of violence, also constantly using battle narratives, normalizing that as well, and getting desensitized out of all of that. And gaming companies not using enough creativity and innovation to find other ways to engage and entertain, as well as at the same time educate. Yeah, so coming back to actually the same as what we talked about before, can we use technology differently? Yes. Can we use gaming also in a different way? Yes.
so how much do you think, and it is probably a really difficult question, the increase in school shootings and violence that we've been seeing over the past 50 years, once gaming was introduced, it seems like that accelerated quite a bit. Do you think they're connected?
Yeah, I do. I know that a lot of people may push back on that, and I think it's not just gaming, but also films, movies, TV series. I think there is a normalization of violence, and the violence is getting grosser and grosser, and you can see that even with my own children. If I look at, they don't flinch, right, if they're seeing something quite violent. That I would think, wow, yeah. So I do, but yes, go ahead.
Well, also in the games, you can kill everybody, but then all you have to do is start the game over again, and they're back to normal. I mean,
Yes,
is it removing that finality of these kind of
yes,
actions?
yes. They don't feel the impact, and that is a lot of the problems today. I believe that when you constantly engage in an activity that's actually quite harmful if you're really looking at it, but you don't feel the impact, so you get desensitized. Um, you're not learning from it then either. And then some kids or younger people or adults, they flip. So they don't know the difference anymore between a gaming world or a movie, and they think it's okay to take a gun and shoot, right? And that is, this is a very good example of a systemic problem. Mm.
When a child has a good witness, a good sense of self, a
Mm.
solid, loving family, are they less vulnerable to this flipping and getting lost in the game and the mores within the game than the other children?
Yes, I believe so. But I think most importantly, as parents, what you need to teach your children is that they recognize when they start getting addicted. I did these exercises with my son. So, for example, if I noticed that he was playing too long, and he was not taking a break naturally himself, but he was also not feeling that he was hungry, then I would tell him, look, be very careful. These are the first signs that you're getting addicted. And I would ask him, do you want to be addicted? No, no, of course not, mom. Do you want me to help you recognize when that starts happening? Yes. Can you take a pause and a break? Yes. So he learned from quite an early age that make sure that the gaming activity doesn't overtake your drive, doesn't start to dominate what you think or what you feel. So you have to be able to step back. And that's why it's important as parents that we also, of course, supervise that, because they can't always make those decisions themselves, and tell them, now stop, now take a break, now take a pause, go out for a walk, go play with your friends, go swimming, go playing soccer or something else. But yeah, they need to really being able to disengage themselves from that.
So, gaming is such a norm among our young people. Do you advocate restricting them to the point that no, you can't do it at all, or is that going to be a real pushback?
No, I don't, and I am developing a game, so I couldn't say that either. And the game that I'm, developing with my team is a much shorter gameplay experience, and so it doesn't hook them in for hours and hours, and also helps them then to detach. But I think it's more important that they learn how to work with, gaming, and it's fun and it can be transformative. but use
But
it in
this
a
is,
positive
yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, this is the world we live in. So rather than
Yes.
forbidding, which they're going to push back against to sneak around,
Yeah.
to do what you're doing and educate them on, okay, this is out in the world. Now, here's how, if you want us to
Exactly.
remain healthy yourself, you deal with it. You can
Yes.
engage,
Exactly.
but don't let it take you over. And the more realistic the games get, the more sound goes in your ears, and the more realistic it is on the screen, the bigger screen you get. Kids are always wanting bigger, better gaming. Doesn't that really take over our imagination and our concepts? I mean, doesn't it? It's becoming so large. We hardly have a chance against
Yes.
it. It seems like.
Well, and it can make them lazy as well, right? So before, if you were having a book and you can still have your own imagination around the characters and the story. So if all of this is crafted out for you by either a movie or film or a game, indeed it can hinder your own creativity to come up. So I think this is also where game developers need to be much more conscious around those things and see, now how can we create an immersive experience that stimulates them, and then with the stimulation it's there, now let them go on a journey or give them the opportunity to design part of the game world, yeah, in the way they would like to conceive that. Then you start to engage their creativity. So I think if we're making this shift from being only playing games to be entertained to becoming a game changer, to make your own games, now we start to then engage their creativity, and that is again very important in order not to be in that passive state that you're speaking about.
Yeah, that's been a concern of mine for a lot of years. Even television's like you say, with a book, you're reading somebody's story, but you're filling in all the blanks. You're making the movie that goes with it in your mind. I personally read more than anything else for just that reason. But
Yes.
how long now has it been that television and this sort of thing has been dictating our creativity versus stimulating it?
Long time. And again, I think there's a big corporate model behind that, because by doing that, these people will make a lot of money out of that. So going back again to also our school systems, educational systems, it's incredibly important that we help our youngsters to truly develop their imaginative abilities and their creative skills and innovation, and not just passively entertain them and keeping them caught in only feeding them visuals. But yeah. Mhm.
So let's change it a little bit here. So tell us a little bit about the illusions of the mind and how they're impacting our current situation. It's right in there,
What
doesn't it? Illusions. Yeah.
absolutely, and especially virtual reality. I mean, and now with AI, of course, even more for a lot of them, they can't make the difference. But how do we know what's real? What is, and then illusions as well in terms of coupled with AI, not knowing in terms of what's the effect of that. So illusion can play out in different ways. It can be, is it a real person or is it not a person? But it can also be illusion in the sense of creating false narrative, false stories, disinformation that then feeds children, especially into the wrong behaviors, into the wrong actions, yeah, or harmful actions.
And I don't want to say that all of TV is television or even games is detrimental. I mean, a lot of it is. Well, I wouldn't know a third about the Earth I do if
Mm,
I didn't. We didn't
yes,
have a lot of the programs that are on.
yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of good to be had there too. Can we solve our current problems with the mind? Speaking of the mind.
Well, the mind's created a lot of those problems. So, so use that same mind again. Yes, I do believe you can solve a lot, but it depends on what aspect of the mind. So, if we're just only using the rationalistic aspects of the mind, maybe not. We need this, as we're talking about, this creative aspects of the mind as well. The deeper compassion of the mind, the empathy, the relational aspects also of the mind is really important. But most importantly, perhaps, and this is also something that we're doing in our game, is how do you train your intuition so that you get a sense of, okay, this game dynamic is taking me away from life, and this one, oh, that's fun, and I can actually regenerate, I can heal a character rather than just kill them and destroy them. So it's also about the different incentive and reward structures that we build around all of these different experiences that we need to address, and that often doesn't get addressed. And I think we need to use our mind intelligently in a way that is life generative, that is future creative.
When I think back to the science fiction, Asimov and whoever, they Arthur C. Clarke we're living what they
Yeah.
imagined. We're living it.
Yes.
And so if we can engage that in ourselves, then we can kind of dictate the future in a different way, can't we?
Yeah, or listen
Mhm.
to it even, right?
Yeah.
Then it's like the future comes alive with us, and maybe there is a future that is much more humane, much more, actually much more fun as well.
Oh, we can hope.
Yeah,
Well, it's that magic moment. We need to take another station break. Please
exactly.
stay with us as
Mhm.
Annalise and I continue to explore the power of human potential. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Are we evolving or devolving? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're continuing our discussion with Dr. Anneloes Smitsman. Her website, earthwise.global. Anneloes, you speak of cosmic consciousness. What is
Mm.
that?
Mm. Well, let's begin with the word cosmos, because a lot of people, when they hear the word cosmic, they think it's very fluffy or ethereal, or yeah. But cosmos just literally means ordered wholeness. So, cosmic consciousness is the consciousness that emerges out of that deeper ordered wholeness of the universe itself. So, that also comes from a growing field in these new paradigm sciences, which takes the position that consciousness is primary and fundamental, and that energy and matter emerge out of consciousness. So, they're not separate from that. So, cosmic consciousness, and therefore I would say, is also in many ways you could say the consciousness of the universe.
So, as more of us, and I'm hoping this is the way we're going, as more of us start engaging in this way of thought of the unification and cosmic consciousness, do we lay a groundwork for others to make it possible for others to see it as well?
Yes, I do hope so. And I think that that shift is happening. If we're already looking also, I mean, I could even include this. This was in 2019. I completed my PhD research. And although it was a real challenge to put that in at a very conventional university like Maastricht University in the field of sustainability, in the end, it did get scientifically accepted and also through peer-reviewed research. And I heard from other PhD students who came after me that having it in there was, helping. It opened a huge door for them, so that they can now also look at those questions more scientifically, and not be told that that's too alternative. So, and then of course, if this goes into the mainstream, I think it's incredibly important that people understand, what is this universe that we form part of. What is the deeper nature of reality? Because for so long we've told people that the nature of reality is just to fight to survive. Yeah, to compete, to go ahead, and people have believed, a lot of them, and not saying all, but that, that humans are not trustworthy, that we will always hurt each other and harm each other. But there's a far greater potential within us, and if we, really start to understand what the deeper nature of reality itself is, that life wasn't designed to just, fight to survive, then we can open up to this greater possibility.
As we open up to greater possibilities within ourselves,
Mm.
does that change the future?
I don't know if it changes the future, because in potentiality that future already exists. I think it changes our reality now, and by so doing that we then create different futures. Yes, but if
There's
the
a,
future, yes, go ahead.
there's a lot of prophecies out there about the new heaven and the new earth.
Ah,
Do you think it relates to this, that creating a different reality creates a new way of being or a new heaven and a new earth?
yes, exactly. I think that a lot of those prophecies from different cultures and different traditions point to this, point in our story where, as humans, we come to this crux point, this tipping point. Yeah? Either we evolve to our next stage, and we really start to learn from the feedback that we're getting from life and from our planet, or we play ourselves out of existence, chapter over for humans, right?
The alternative doesn't look real nice to me, but
No.
then that's just me.
Yeah.
So you write about thrivability as a pattern for living systems. Would you go into that a little bit for us?
Yes, many people know the word thrive, but they don't always know the word thrivability. So thrivability talks about the ability to thrive, and that this is an innate potential that is life given. Every living system has the ability to thrive, But that ability, again, is relational. So it requires an environment also for all of us around that supports that, and that we're sharing resources also through that. So just like we have responsibility, the ability to respond, sustainability, the abilities to sustain, we also have thrivability, the ability to thrive. And that if we're looking at the patterns of living systems, we see that they create conditions for life to thrive. And that is what that statement refers to.
And just look at nature. I love the seasons because
Yes,
nowhere is it more evident
exactly.
than within the seasons. The beginning, the middle, the end, and the rebirth. I mean, it just goes on and
Yes,
on and on, and things
yes,
tend to thrive out there without
yes.
without electronics, without it's amazing. So it's about that time in the show that I get to ask you, Annalise, what is your mission?
Ah, well, to make this world more thrivable.
There you go.
Yeah, so that is really, yes, and to really empower especially younger generations as game changers for our world in transformation. That's both my mission, but also my passion.
Hmm. And I love your approach, as I understand it, of working with what is present versus trying to get rid of it.
That's
Um,
it.
would you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's so important because you don't achieve much from rejection. So if you're trying to get rid of something rather than work with its potential, then to me, you're not actually using that deeper intelligence and wisdom of the mind well, because you have a reactionary approach. But if you're looking, okay, what's present here, and how can we repurpose that? How can we get creative with it? How can we direct it in such a way that the consequence gets very differently? And we talked about it already before, like technology. It's not about getting rid of technology in order to become sustainable. No, it's about using technology for a different purpose in a different way based on a different understanding of life and reality.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to feel like we're bad mouthing games or bad mouthing TV or anything else. It's the way it's being exploited, it seems to me, that's creating
Yes,
most of the problem, not the media itself.
this is it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, as an evolutionary scientist, how do you see us using the evolutionary process of life to create a thriving world and future?
Well, first of all, by applying this actually in the design of our economies. So, if we're creating our economies as living systems, um, well, first of all, what we start to do is we start to account for also all the natural resources and the ecosystem services. So, apply that system also to our economic design, then apply it to our democracy. So, rather than having these dual states like you're seeing in the United States, which is, I think, very, very damaging. What we're seeing right now is always this bipolar state. So you have two parties constantly competing for who wins the elections. But apply now also these same evolutionary processes to create that mutuality, to create win-win solutions rather than win-lose solutions. So that's really important in our societal systems as well, understanding that human beings, we are vast, evolutionary, complex living systems. So create incentives and rewards and support systems for people to co-steward our planets and our futures, and to make it empowering for people to have a decision. Empower also in the decisions that need to be taken together for our future.
It seems like we're moving at Mach 7, right? Or 9. We're moving much more everything's going much more rapidly than 50
Yeah.
years ago, for sure.
Yes.
What's
Yes.
causing it, and how can we use this to our advantage?
Well, of course, the more complex your life becomes, the more complex societies become, the more it feels that things go very fast, and where people start to feel that things get out of control. So I think that humans are not very good with complexity in that way. But if we want to use it to our advantage, then you need to make that complexity in our lives meaningful, and that needs to be happening by having kind of connections that make sense. Pause moments also. Get out of the rat race, yeah, in many ways. So there are also countries where, for example, say, well, let's introduce the 4 days a week as a working week rather than 5 days. So pushing less and doing more with less, valuing also the times with each other, the time to tell a good story, the time to experience life, and yeah, stop, just stop pushing each other and our kids so hard.
Yeah, I see the children are pushed so hard. There's so many activities, and they're
Oh,
expected to participate in all of them. And we see
yes,
children that were successful in everything. They were valedictorian, they were, and all of a sudden they suicide, because the
exactly.
pressure just takes them out.
That's
So,
it.
how can we back up and take it easy in a world that seems so out of control?
Yeah, but it becomes out of control because we're not backing up, right? So that is the first thing to realize. We're making it like that. So we have to, in some ways, feel like we regain our powers from a world where we feel that's taking us constantly on a ride. So if you stand in that as a victim, say, I can't do anything, I'm helpless, the world is going so fast, then you're never going to change it. But if you realize I'm not a victim, I'm a creator here, I'm going to take some of that power back and I'm going to bring in those rest moments, those balance moments. We're going to go back to our rhythm, but also find ways in a healthy way with your family and with your kids to say, to let them know, you don't have to participate in all of those activities and just choose one thing that you really like. And it's okay to have time also in the day that there's just do nothing. Just be
Sitting and
kids.
imagining a future, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
we are just about out of time. If you were to leave us with one thought, Annalise, what would it be?
Oh, and enjoy life and make it enjoyable also for others.
That's beautiful because we get ourselves so busy, we lose track of what's really important. If we take
Yes,
a look at every opportunity that comes our way and say, is this really important? That should help, don't you think?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. Dr. Smithson, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful conversation.
Our guest this hour has been Dr. Anneloes Smitsman, award-winning futurist, systems scientist, entrepreneur, and best-selling author. To find out more about Dr. Smitsman, where you can find her books, games, and all she has to offer, visit her website, earthwise.global. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. For more information or to enjoy past archived episodes, visit www.missionevolution.org. But please be sure to join us right here next time. This mission will continue, bringing information, resources, and support to our rapidly evolving world.